aid programs, including public housing assistance, SNAP and TANF benefits. TANF is what we think of as welfare direct benefits, and college financial aid. Back with me to discuss the intersection of criminal justice and poverty is Kasim Reed, Mayor of Atlanta. And joining us at the table are Madeline, who is a staff attorney at the National Employment Law Project, Reverend Vivian Nixon, Executive Director of College and Community Fellowship and co-founder of the Education from the Inside Out Coalition, and Rebecca Valletz, staff attorney at Community Legal Services of Philadelphia. So let me start here. What are, if you had to define them, what are the main barriers to employment that ex-offenders face?
Well, I think you identified the first one is this box on an initial job application that says, have you ever been convicted of a crime? And when folks go ahead and answer honestly, those applications get pushed aside all the way into the trash can. So we need to ban the box so folks can just get their foot in the door. Another big problem we're seeing are licensing restrictions. So one example is in California, folks were being trained in prison on barbering. So they would have
the barbering one, this one kills me, yes, yeah.
They'd have a skill when they come out, they could support their families and reintegrate into their communities. Then they got out and found out, well, there's another law in the books that's going to tell you you can't be a barber in the state of California if you have a criminal conviction.
Right, and not just California, right? There's several states that bar barbering, and barbering is one of those kind of entrepreneurial things that particularly many men of color do to support themselves.
Exactly, and so we really need to take a look at these licensing restrictions and make sure that we are opening up a playing field so folks can reintegrate and they can go back, support their families, and get back into their communities.
No, I think that the counter argument clearly from a lot of private and maybe even public employers is, well, but I need to know. I need to know if this person who is applying has committed a crime or has been convicted of it.
I've already done this.
Yep.
So in the city of Atlanta, we have already removed this question, but we do conduct background checks. So it doesn't mean that I'm not going to find out or research the background of the individual. But what it does do is allow that person to at least proceed to an interview.
Right, get their foot in the door.
Get the opportunity to sit in front of a decision maker and tell their story and lay the life decisions that they made out for them. But we didn't need to pass a state law to do it. We did it as mayors. And more, as we take on issues that are forward-thinking, we've got to do them locally around the country because that's where more than 70% of the country's population is, and where more than 75% of our GDP is. We can solve these issues locally.
I love this point. I love that the kind of decision-making, that when you have that kind of decision-making power at the municipal level, going ahead and taking it. Reverend Nixon, I just wanted to show sort of the impact of incarceration on male earning power overall. When we look at it, we just see the steep decline that occurs if someone has been incarcerated. And you were kind enough to write for our website. We do. So if banning the box is part of it, talk to me also about licensing. Obviously, there's some things that we do feel comfortable with. We don't want you to be able to be an elementary school teacher if you were, in fact, incarcerated for some sort of pedophile crime, right? I mean, there's some things that are reasonable. But if you were incarcerated for a drug crime that had no violence associated with it, it's not clear to me why you can't be a barber.
Exactly. So I think that we need to make sure we don't create a permanent class of unemployable people. And to do that, we have to be smart about this. We need people to take a minute and look at what are the qualifications and, you know, stepping back and allowing somebody through that process till then you're able to really think rationally about it. Certainly there are certain convictions that given a certain time period we want to be more concerned about, but lifetime bans don't do any good because we can't create that permanent class of unemployable.
Especially when we incarcerate so many people.
Exactly. So we need a chance for folks to become beyond their record, to sit down and have that conversation and say, this is what I've been doing with my life since then. I made a mistake, and here's what I've been doing since. These are the qualifications that I bring to this job and why I am the best candidate and why I'm qualified. These are qualified people that need to get out there and get back to work.
I was thinking, Mayor, also, you've consistently held us to account today of sort of building the broader narrative, not just how it's impacting the individual. And part of the poverty of incarceration is what happens to whole communities, right? What happens to the neighborhood and to women who can't marry the fathers of the children because they can't live in public housing if they do because they're banned. Or, you know, your brother or your son is calling and using the prison's long distance